Welcome everyone back to the channel. In this video I'm going to give you a more long-term review of the Ducky. This is the Miya Pro mechanical keyboard. This is a 65% keyboard. I've had it for about a year now, so I thought this would be a good time to kind of get a more long-term review. I know I did a quick unboxing and first impressions in the past, but this will give you a more idea of what it's like owning this long-term. Again, this is a mechanical keyboard. It's an MX Cherry Brown switch. You can get it in all different kinds of switches, but that's the switch that I like. I'll try to get you a sound of it, but it's a more subdued sound compared to some of the reds or blue switches out there, so I went with that. And it shipped quick, because sometimes you have to wait a little while to get these keyboards. Again, this is a 65% keyboard, so you'll notice there's no number pad, which is kind of cut off there. I'll try to get you a closer look of it also. This is a sub-die PBT switches. Basically what that is, it's just a different coating in how they actually make the switches, which basically means it'll last forever without doing any type of wear or anything on there. That's how they get the Panda and all that stuff on there. It's just a different die approach they go about it to kind of make the keyboard last a little bit longer. That's why you pay a little bit more for these. This keyboard costs $135. They never go on sale. There's only a few places you can get them at. I'll put a link below. Sometimes you can find them on Amazon, but usually you have to get them at some specialty place because they're not the easiest keyboards to find. So long-term review, I'm kind of a brand loyal to Ducky. I really like their keyboards. I've had them for 10-15 years now, different ones. I tend to like the smaller ones. The 65% is generally how I go when I'm looking at keyboards. So I'll get into some of the goods, the bads, and kind of try to help you make a decision down the line from there. So we'll start with some of the bads. The first is that it costs $135. It's not cheap for a keyboard, at least not in my eyes, when you can get one for $15-20, especially if you're not that big into keyboards or typing. That may be something to look into. The other thing about it is that it took a while to get. It took us 6 weeks. I actually ended up pre-ordering it, and the shipping got delayed because these come from China. They don't come from this country, but they are not made here, and usually it takes a little while for them to get in, and sometimes shipping can be delayed. So it did take a little while because I was looking for this specific keyboard. The second thing, or the third thing that I would say that's kind of a negative is it has a USB-C connector to connect it to your computer, which is nice, but it doesn't feel all that great quality-wise. Sometimes you can tell when you put it in that at some point that may be a failure point that may go bad down the line. Not had any issues with it so far, but it's just something to keep in mind. And that's really it. Those are really the only three things. The price and being able to get them is another thing that, you know, you get what you pay for. And they're also difficult to find in stores. I've never found these. Every once in a while you'll be able to run across the standard zero one at like Micro Center, but even looking at them, they're hard to come by and get just a visual on them to see if it's something you'll like. But that and this USB-C connector, this just doesn't feel like the best quality. That's really some of the only negatives that I can see with this. Again, I really like their keyboards. I like to keep stuff for a long time, or as long as possible, and this feels like something that would last for a lifetime, and that gets us to the positives. I've used this keyboard every day for about a year. It still looks brand new, and I've taken some of the caps off, and I'll show you kind of some of the accessories you get with it. But it's well built. I don't foresee this ever dying in the future. Something I'll probably use until it does go bad. Sometimes I like to switch it up and get a couple different keyboards, but that's probably the biggest positive, that it's well built. It's got nice feet on it, nice rubberized feet, and rubberized pads on it, so it doesn't slide around on your desk. So that's probably the number one thing, is the build quality of it. The number two thing that I really like about it is it's unique. A lot of keyboards out there are just your standard, especially if you work in a place where it's like the Lenovo, HP, or Dell, just those generic keyboards. So it does bring a little bit of style, a little bit of uniqueness to your setup. The other thing I really like about these keyboards is that they have a little bit of character to them. Each one is a little unique. They have all kinds of different ones. They have a Miya, which is a Panda one. They have a C one. They have Year of the Dragon, Year of the Pig, where they come up with a unique one each year. So you do get a little bit of uniqueness and style if you're looking for that in your keyboard over, say, your standard Dell, HP, Lenovo standard business keyboard that you may have seen around the office. So I do like that. That and the build quality are probably the two big things. And the third thing is that I'm just a fan of mechanical keyboards. I like the way they feel, the way they sound, the feedback you get when you're typing on them. It's a unique feeling. If you've never used one before and you get into one, it's almost like getting into a fancy sports car and you're like, everything just feels so much better in this than your standard Honda Civic or something like that. So that's another thing. I've never spilled anything on it, so I don't know how it would do with spills. But I'm sure it could withstand a little bit. I'm not saying you should do that, but that's one other good thing about it. It is backlit. I don't use the backlighting all that often. It does have a million different backlight features you can do with that. I'll try to display some of them in the video below. You can do it to where they're all on, where if you press a key it lights up and then it goes away. You can do a pulsing. You can do all kinds of different functions here. You really need to look through the manual to do that, but if you like stuff like that, especially some of their more fancy, like they're all white keyboards that have kind of a RGB lighting to them, they look really neat, so I do like that. And that's some of the big things. Again, the build quality is really what I was going for. In the uniqueness, they just add a little bit of character when you sit on your desk. Kind of adds a little bit of style to your setup. And also, I just like the mechanical keyboard, and you're getting the PBT switches, or the Cherry MX switches with the PBT. A lot of them are double shot, which basically means they're going to last forever, and you're not going to have to worry about any fading of the characters or anything like that on there. The last thing that I wanted to mention in the long-term review, when if you're just buying a keyboard, is that these generally do come with a few extra keycaps and accessories. So again, you're paying that extra money for some of these extra features. So you will get this one came with some Panda. So if I can get that to focus there, some Panda keycaps, which I don't really use, and they come with a switch to take them off. This, since it's a kind of a little bit of a special edition, you get a big mouse pad that comes with it, and then you also get this little Panda here, which I will never use, but again, it's a nice touch for spending $135 on a keyboard. If it was something somebody wanted, again, just kind of some extra add-ons that people may like, they may not like. The box did come a little damaged when I got it, a little bit there, but it was brand new. I didn't have any issues with that. So overall, I would highly recommend spending a little extra money on a keyboard, especially if it's something you're going to enjoy, use every day, and something you want to last for a while. If you guys have any questions, concerns, feel free to leave a comment below and I will get back to you. And that's it. Again, I've had it for a year, no problems, use it every day. Mainly sits on a desk, again, because it's a desktop keyboard, but I'd highly recommend getting one of these if you're looking to spend anywhere from $89 to $150, depending on what kind you get. Leave a link below if you guys want one. That's it, guys. See you guys next time.